So here we are. It's the end of the first season. I would show you statistics, but I don't really think that stuff matters until Trevor Lawrence actually gets drafted in. Although I really would be interested in seeing how Tua and Joe Burrow did for their first year. But you can see DeAndre Hopkins is killing it for the Arizona Cardinals. The New England Patriots didn't have the best year, and this is kind of how I assume they will do if they do end up having to go throughout the year with only Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham on their roster. The Dallas Cowboys absolutely demolished it, and that's kind of the NFL that we are coming into. So statistically speaking, Tom Brady led the league in passing. Brian Hoyer came in second, which is absolutely ridiculous. But other than the fact that Brian Hoyer came out of nowhere and completely carved up defenses for a 6-10 record, for the most part, all of these statistics are something that I could buy into. I could totally see Lamar Jackson putting these type of numbers up for his second year, although I think the completion percentages are a little bit ridiculous. But then again, that's kind of why we're doing the simulations, just so we could see crazy and wacky stuff. So let's go ahead and sim to the Super Bowl. So right before Trevor Lawrence decides to enter the league, Lamar Jackson wins NFL MVP again. He wins Offensive Player of the Year for the AFC. The NFC, it's Dak Prescott. He really must want that contract. And then Offensive Rookie of the Year is Tua Tagovailoa. And Defensive Rookie of the Year, I guess you could ignore Devin Bush, and it's going to be Kenneth Murray or Patrick Queen. So for the most part, we're coming into a very interesting NFL. And it's time to see where Trevor Lawrence will get drafted. Okay, so before we get into it, let's just see where the league is at currently. So it appears as if Chris Jones is heading to the Los Angeles Chargers. Kareem Hunt is signing with the Los Angeles Rams, which is something I could totally see happening. Rick Armstead is going over to Tampa Bay to join Shaq Barrett and Ndamukong Suh in that crazy defensive line. Austin Eckler is signing with the Arizona Cardinals. I guess David Johnson didn't give them what they want. Tony Jefferson's going to sign with the Buccaneers. Devontae Freeman's also going to the Buccaneers, which is super interesting considering the fact that they signed Todd Gurley the year prior. Lamar Miller's going to the Vikings. What happened to Lamar Miller? Looks like Jordan Reed's going back to the Redskins. Jordan Howard's going to the Panthers. AJ Terrell, who was drafted last year, shouldn't be here, is going to sign with the Raiders, which is interesting. And then the rest, you guys can see where everyone else is going here. If you're interested, you could just go ahead and pause the video. So Trevor Lawrence, for some reason or another, is still on the board at the 10th overall pick. I am controlling the Patriots, but I am not going to force anything. If the Patriots want to draft Trevor Lawrence by their own doing, they can, but I can't force anything. This is a simulation. So we're going to sim our pick here, and thankfully, they take Trevor Lawrence. So this should be very, very interesting. A lot of Patriots fans are hoping this happens. A lot of NFL fans are hoping this does not happen. The Patriots now have their quarterback of the future in Trevor Lawrence. So let's take a look at these contracts real quick and see where who we ended up getting. So we got Trevor Lawrence, Ben Davis, Gabe Reed, Cole Kmet. He should not be here, but whatever. Tyrone Sampson Jr., Daryl Simpson, Jacob Sermon, and Adrian Hardy. Well, this Cole Kmet pick sucks, but what are you going to do? There's going to be 2 Cole Kmets in our sim. What I'm even more surprised about is how the hell did Trevor Lawrence fall to the 10th overall pick to the New England Patriots? Like, what did he do in college this past year that made teams sour on him so much? So going into this year, the Patriots are looking significantly better. They have the top cornerback in the league in Stephon Gilmore. They have Devin McCourty still. They have a decent offensive line. They have a very good offensive line over here for Trevor Lawrence, and they have great DBs. Julian Edelman is still there. James White is still there. They're just a brand new quarterback in town, and this is the quarterback that they're going to build around for the foreseeable future. Now, the wide receivers could be a little bit better, but, you know, Tom Brady didn't have the greatest wide receivers towards the tail end of his career. And going into year one, I'm assuming that Trevor Lawrence is going to be the starter from the get-go. So I'm not exactly worried about things. I think this is a team that could easily make it to the playoffs, but we're going to have to simulate and see. Obviously, our linebackers could be a little bit better, but what are you going to do? So here we are. It's year one, and I wanted to see if there was any interesting signings that we should know about that could completely shake up the league, and for the most part, not really. Keelan Cole, I guess, the former Jaguar. Brandon Ayuk is going to the Colts for some reason. I guess all the rookies were on one-year deals, or some rookies were on one-year deals, so that's going to shake up the league a little bit as well. The Chiefs signed Kiko Alonso. The Broncos got Brett Maher, so nothing too big. Were there any trades? Nothing except Cole Beasley getting traded to the Redskins and a couple of draft picks being swapped around. So here are the narratives that are surrounding us before our first year, and it looks like there's a lot of hype about the Bills, and everything is talking about the Bills. So it looks like the Patriots are a little bit of an afterthought currently. Let's see if there's any stories that are based around us. Nothing really. So at the end of Trevor Lawrence's first year, the Patriots missed the playoffs, which, I'm not gonna lie, surprised me a lot. So if we take a look at the Patriots for their very first year, they finished 8-8, but luckily for them, so did the Buffalo Bills. Who won the tiebreaker? I'm not exactly sure, but surprisingly, the New York Jets were able to make it to the playoff, which is wow. I guess Sam Darnold took the next step. And taking a look at the latest transactions, wow, the Oakland Raiders fired John Gruden. The Redskins fired Jay Gruden. Well, to be fair, Jay Gruden was already fired prior to the season starting, but I guess since this is Madden and they don't really update the coaches, Jay Gruden was still the head coach there. The Jaguars fired Doug Marrone, which, if you ask me, it's a long time coming. After that 2017 roster collapse, there's no point in keeping him around. Were there any players traded? Well, looks like it was just a bunch of trades of picks. Zay Jones got traded, but no big trades happened since the beginning of our sim. How did Trevor do in his first year? In Trevor's first year in the NFL, he threw 31 touchdowns for 12 interceptions, had a 69% completion percentage, and threw for over 4,000 yards. That is second only to Ryan Tannehill, which is very, very interesting to say the least. And then Phillip Rivers is apparently having a late career resurgence. Matt Ryan is carving up teams as well. Lamar Jackson's back at it again, and looks like for the most part, most of these it's a pass-heavy league, and most quarterbacks have it figured out, except for Sam Darnold, who is throwing a 63% completion percentage, which is kind of low considering the fact that everyone is having a 73% completion percentage. Gotta love Madden. Jameis Winston appears to have usurped the throne from Drew Brees, but to be second in the NFL in passing yardage and throwing 31 touchdowns in your first year, that is something that you could hang your hat on. Looking at the yearly awards, looks like Lamar Jackson won MVP again. He won Offensive Player of the Year for the AFC. Looks like Von Miller won DPOY. Did we win Rookie of the Year? Yes, we did. So Trevor Lawrence wins Rookie of the Year easily in his first year. And then we got Gabe Reed winning the Defensive Rookie of the Year. So the Patriots are doing fantastic in their rebuild so far. Now, who won Coach of the Year? Jason Garrett won Coach of the Year? Ugh. Get out of here. I guess we could count that as Mike McCarthy because, you know, different team. No way Jason Garrett could ever win Coach of the Year in any simulation whatsoever. So it appears as if the Patriots did miss out on the playoffs, so I'm just going to double check, and it looks like they did. So we're going to go ahead and simulate to the Super Bowl. And in the Super Bowl, you have the Cleveland Browns against the Philadelphia Eagles. I guess this is one of those years where Baker Mayfield really is out to prove himself. How the heck did the Browns took down the Kansas City Chiefs? Hold on, I gotta see these stats. Baker Mayfield threw for 239 yards. Patrick Mahomes threw for 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. I guess this was a rushing game, and yeah, it was Clyde Edwards-Helaire versus Nick Chubb, and I guess Nick Chubb won, and Marshawn Lynch is on the Browns now. I mean, don't get it wrong, this is all stuff that I could totally see happening. It's just very interesting to see happening in Madden, to say the least. Now, I'm very curious to see who won that Super Bowl. So it looks like the Browns won a Super Bowl, so wow. It's just, I know we're already seeing some craziness. Tom Brady has decided to retire as well. So did Jimmy Graham. Ndamukong Suh is also retiring. Wow, so many players retiring. Jason Garrett, I still can't believe Jason Garrett won Coach of the Year. And I believe that those are the big retirements. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any other big narratives other than that. So moving on to the offseason. So free agency came and went, and looks like Rob Gronkowski just signed with the New England Patriots again? What the heck is going on, man? Allen Robinson II signed with the Colts. Marshawn Lattimore is going to the Panthers. Keanu Neal's going to the Steelers. I'm not going to lie, I really don't know much about Samson Ebukam, but O.J. Howard's going to the Colts. Another former first-round tight end who the Colts are going to try to resurrect his career. And then David Njoku is going to go take his place in Tampa Bay. Tack McKinley's going to the Colts. The Colts are making a lot of moves, so are the Panthers. Oh my God, man. All I see is Buccaneers and Panthers, and wow, John Ross is going to go to the Cardinals. Alejandro Villanueva is going to go to the 49ers. And that seems to be the most important ones. Now, we're back at the NFL draft, but this time I really am not going to care about it nearly as much, considering the fact that Trevor Lawrence is already in the league. Hopefully the Patriots get him some wide receiver help. We were very weak at the wide receiver position. Let's take a look at the draft recap. Let's see who Bill Belichick brought along. So there's some more pass protection, another cornerback. I don't know how I feel about that. A linebacker, which we desperately needed, a safety. We got a wide receiver in the 6th round. Hopefully he is a gem, but we'll have to see. And if you guys are curious as to who went number 1 overall, it was Nolan Smith to the Las Vegas Raiders. I would have really liked to get Jadon Hasselwood, but what could you do? So going into Trevor Lawrence's sophomore season, he crushed it during his first year. It looks like, for the most part, he still has that great offensive line, but now he has Rob Gronkowski back. I guess Gronk wanted to come back to New England as soon as Tom Brady decided to retire. He has Marquise Lee as his wide receiver 1, which is not something I'm a huge fan of, and I don't really think N'Keal Harry is the long-term answer at wide receiver 2. Defensively, it looks like they're a little bit better. We have Stephon Gilmore, we have J.C. Jackson. Our pass rush could be a little bit better. This isn't the, stifling, suffocating, aggressive New England Patriots defense that has carried Tom Brady to some Super Bowls, but I feel like with a potent offensive attack, the Patriots could make it there once again. If there's something I really wish that Madden would add, it's the ability to see previous awards. Like, I forgot to see whether or not Trevor Lawrence made it to the Pro Bowl in his first year, and I can't see whether he made it here or not. In 2K, you can see how many times he's made it to the Pro Bowl, in 2K, it's the All-Star game. But I guess going forward, if there was a better way to see that kind of stuff, I'd really like to see it in Madden. Another year in the books, and the Patriots finished with a 6-10 record once again. And this is by far the most bizarre part of my entire simulation, because the Los Angeles Chargers literally moved to the city of Dublin and became the Dublin Shamrocks. Like, what does that even mean? Is there even a market for football in Ireland? Like, what? That is absolutely the most bizarre thing that has happened in this simulation so far, but alright, I'll rock with it, man. We finished 6-10, of course, not the greatest. We finished our season on a 4-game losing streak. I'm sure there's a reason behind it. Someone seems to have gotten injured throughout the year. Now, if we look at Trevor Lawrence's statistics in his second year in the entire NFL, my man absolutely went off. Sure, there's a little bit regression from in terms of his completion percentage from his first year, but for the most part, he threw for 4,426 passing yards. He threw 29 touchdowns and 13 interceptions for 67% completion. Patrick Mahomes trailed him. That's saying something, man. And then the 4th best is JT Daniels. Wow, that's something that we could totally see happening as well, because of course he is competing with Trevor Lawrence to see who is the top quarterback in that class. He could easily make up ground by this draft and the next draft. It honestly depends how the college football season goes, but Jared Goff came in 3rd, but he only had 62% completion percentage. Now, in terms of awards, Deshaun Watson won the NFL MVP this year. Devin Bush won DPOY. Offensive Rookie of the Year is Tanner McKee. Defensive Rookie of the Year is Brandon Smith. And after this, it's going to get a little bit random, so just be warned. And for some reason or another, Trevor Lawrence is 9th on the best overall quarterback, which means I wouldn't be surprised if this guy didn't even sniff the Pro Bowl. We'll have to see, but I wouldn't be shocked at all. Any big transactions? Looks like the Cardinals are moving on from Cliff Kingsbury and his crazy house. The Bengals are firing Zach Taylor. The Bills are firing Sean McDermott. The Vikings are firing Mike Zimmer. Wow. Okay, so looks like, were there any other big transactions? Well, there's so many transactions that go on in football that I think it might be impossible to pinpoint one specific transaction. So we could do this in one of two ways in the future. I could either go through each and every one of them very quickly and you guys could pause and see for yourself, or we could just skip this part altogether and just go over the big free agency stuff and trades, because I don't think anyone's just going to randomly get signed at this point. But, it's up to you guys. This is still a work in progress the way we do these things, and I want it to be an us decision and not only a me decision. So you can see the Packers traded Marquez Valdez-Scantling to the Buccaneers. Looks like the Buccaneers are loading up, man. And that's really about it so far in terms of transactions, besides those marginal ones that I showed you guys before. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at who wins the Super Bowl this year. So looking at the playoffs, it looks like the the Cowboys are absolutely destroying it. I wish these were my Cowboys of today because, honestly, as a Cowboy fan, we go through a ton of heartbreak, man. But the Texans faced off against the Jaguars and won. Baltimore beat I still can't believe the Chargers are the Dublin Shamrocks. And the Giants seem to have beaten the Seattle Seahawks. So moving on to the divisional, looks like the Texans beat the Jets, the Cowboys beat the Bears. The Bears beat the Cowboys, the Ravens beat the Browns, and oh my god, the Browns are an absolute powerhouse. 42 points, man. Like, can we take a look at this game real quick? Like, I really want to see. Lamar Jackson had 3 touchdowns and 1 interception, but Baker Mayfield, man, 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I don't know who their head coach is, but they're finally getting the inner Baker Mayfield out of Baker Mayfield, man. So looks like he's beginning to close the gap slowly on Lamar Jackson because he is the first quarterback out of that huge 2018 NFL quarterback draft class that has won the Super Bowl in this simulation. So Baltimore was able to make it to the Super Bowl. Let's see if Lamar Jackson's able to catch up. But before doing so, where is that Pro Bowl? Is there a way I could see the Pro Bowl anywhere? Like, I just want to see if any of my dudes made it, bro. Like, honestly, Madden, if anyone knows how to do this at all, like, is it part of the postseason? Is it part of the regular season? Like, it might not be. I remember, like, recently they made it a thing where they say, hey, you could play the Pro Bowl again. Aren't you excited about that? And I don't see it anywhere in franchise. And I just want to see if Trevor Lawrence made it or not. So if anyone knows how I could access that type of data, please let me know. Maybe I have to stop simming all the way to the Super Bowl. I'm not exactly sure, but seeing how many Pro Bowls a player made it to, like, in my NFL content, I really place a huge emphasis on how many years a player was able to make it to the Pro Bowl. So if anyone knows how I could figure that out, let me know in the comment section. I would greatly appreciate it. Now we're looking at the league schedule over here, and let's take a look. You see, like, postseason conference, anything? Nothing about the Pro Bowl, man. So postseason Super Bowl, the Giants beat the Ravens, man. Daniel Jones finally wins a championship. Oh my god, their quarterback's Mitchell Trubisky. What the heck is going on, man?
To him, Mitchell Trubisky from the pocket. And
they have Daniel Jones as their backup. Mitchell Trubisky led the New York Giants to a Super Bowl in this. Wow. Okay, bro, I feel like Madden Sims are absolutely the most lit thing on earth. Like, what the heck is going on? Like, we have the Los Angeles Chargers moving to Dublin, and then you have Mitchell Trubisky leaving the Chicago Bears, which is very likely to happen, and leading the New York Giants to a Super Bowl. I really wonder how on earth that happened because I didn't see his statistics anywhere here, man. Where is Mitchell Trubisky? Is he... like, in terms of passing, where is he currently? So Mitchell Trubisky, 27 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 69% completion percentage, and 3,600 yards. Wow. Oh my god, that's insane. Good for Mitchell Trubisky, man. They were really hard on him. So at this point, we're going to take a look at the free agency recap. Last year we got Rob Gronkowski, and this year we finally get Trevor Lawrence some decent help. We get him Anthony Miller, and N'Keal Harry is still there, and it looks like N'Keal Harry is finally beginning to develop. So who else? Mitchell Schwartz goes to the Green Bay Packers. Christian McCaffrey goes to the Arizona Cardinals. That team must be loaded if they have DeAndre Hopkins, Christian McCaffrey, and Kyler Murray. I do not want to imagine the read option there. So Von Miller is going to sign with the Kansas City Chiefs towards the tail end of his career. Mekhi Becton somehow... oh no, at this point it makes sense for Mekhi Becton to be a free agent. Looks like he is going to the Denver Broncos. James Washington to the Bengals. Dallas Goedert is going to the Jaguars. Devin Funchess to the Bears. Baker Mayfield signed with the Titans. What happened to... I don't get what happened to Ryan Tannehill. Xavier Woods went to the Jaguars. Man, like, I don't get this. Like, he was on the cusp of winning a championship, but how do you... all right, we're not going to get into it. We still have a ton of simming to do. Anthony Brown goes to the Texans, and honestly, just for the sake of me not keeping you guys here for too long, just pause if you want to do like a little bit of a double take here. So let's sim past the NFL draft, and this is the last year where I think I have an official draft class, so names might get a little bit funky after this offseason, guys. So we get the top wide receiver in this year's NFL draft, Julian Fleming. He's only a 75 overall. We get Dante Lucas. We get... what the heck is this? Why do we get another quarterback? What? With the third round pick? And then we got Muhsin Muhammad III. Wow. So his dad actually had to combat the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, and it looks like his son gets to join the New England Patriots, assuming he makes the roster. Let me know if you know who Muhsin Muhammad is in the comment section down below, because honestly, that is like an OG wide receiver. He's one of those wide receivers that were really good during his time, but not enough where you definitely know his name. He was a legend for the Panthers, though. So coming into the 2022 season, Trevor Lawrence has a significantly better supporting cast. It looks like his wide receivers are loaded finally. Well, not absolutely loaded, but they're passable. He has a great offensive line once again. Rob Gronkowski is starting to regress. He was a 90 overall last year. He's an 86 overall this year. It'd be nice for him to leave his career with a championship, but on the defensive side of the ball, it appears as if we are improving. Our linebackers are getting a little bit better. We still have great middle linebackers. We have a decent, very, very decent pass rush, but Stephon Gilmore is starting to regress. J.C. Jackson is starting to get better, and we have a fantastic slot corner as well. But our safeties leave something to be desired. I guess we lost McCourty, which sucks. So there's no big trade so far. I guess Jalen Thompson going to the Browns is big, but other than that, looking at any potential signees, I don't really see anything that catches my eye. Well, there's Auden Tate, if you want to consider that. There's Malik Jackson coming back to the Cardinals as well, which is pretty interesting. I think he was out of football prior to this in the simulation. Jeff Swaim going to the Broncos, but Ryan Kerrigan going to the Bears. All right, so this is where we start to see some players that were absolute legends during our time start to regress a little bit and start to kind of ring chase. Justin Jefferson is signing with the Bears. Wow, leaving the Vikings and signing on a one-year $770,000 contract. Wow. Jason Verrett going to the Bills. Britton Colquitt, who was actually cut recently by the Kansas City Chiefs, going to the Bills as well. Royce Freeman going to the Rams, which, wow, that is very, very interesting. The Rams have not been able to replace Todd Gurley ever since cutting him in this simulation. And other than that, the Packers are signing Ryan Tannehill. I wonder if that's their new starting quarterback or if Jordan Love got it or what the deal is. We lost James White, which sucks, but what are you going to do? The Saints got Melvin Gordon, and the Saints also got CeeDee Lamb, and they got Kenny Stills to come back. Wow. The Panthers signed Russell Okung, who I'm very surprised is still in the league. Same with Robert Quinn. How on earth is Don Terry Post still in this game? I have no idea. The Falcons also got Chris Harris and Chidobe Awuzie. The Redskins somehow got Henry Ruggs III. At the end of the 2022 season, Trevor Lawrence still can't catch a break. Patriots finish 8-7-1. So it looks like the post-Tom Brady Patriots are just not doing that well. The Bills are able to make it to the playoffs and win the division. Statistically, Trevor Lawrence took a huge step back this season in terms of the amount of yards he gained through the air. Maybe it's the pressure of that new third-round quarterback we took, Bryce Young, but he threw 28 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. He had a 68% completion percentage. It was still very, very good. Sony Michel finished under 1,000 yards, and his top receiver was Anthony Miller and Rob Gronkowski. Now, JT Daniels led the league in passing yardage. Matt Ryan came second. I don't know who, I'm not even going to try to say his name, bro, but this is the person that's supposed to replace Trevor Lawrence in Clemson. Baker Mayfield didn't skip a beat by going to the Tennessee Titans. Patrick Mahomes is starting to regress because he only threw 42 touchdowns this season. Joe Burrow is finally starting to make a dent in the league, and Lamar Jackson is still doing Lamar Jackson things. And then you have Trevor Lawrence, who's behind the person that is replacing Baker Mayfield. And just above Jameis Winston, who is currently having a crazy career resurgence. This still is so weird to me. This is how the wild card is currently looking. In terms of weekly awards, Trevor Lawrence seems to have done his thing this week. He had a fantastic week where he threw for over 350 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and gained some yardage on the ground. Oh, by the way, the quarterback for the Shamrocks is still Justin Herbert. And the awards for the year, Patrick Mahomes wins MVP. Looks like we haven't even finished in the top 10. Coach of the year goes to whoever that guy is. Jason Garrett is still the coach of the Cowboys, and he's doing really well, and it drives me a little nuts as a Cowboy fan, but that's not what this video is about. Defensive player of the year is Bro, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, but just know he's really, really freaking good. The playoffs went like this, and then they went like this, and then they went like this, to have a Super Bowl where Baker Mayfield won his second Super Bowl ring with his second team, and this is by far one of the most interesting careers I think I've ever seen. Jameis Winston and Baker Mayfield, two former Heisman Trophy winners and two former number 1 overall picks, faced off in an absolute duel for the Super Bowl. So it looks like the New England Patriots went in a little bit more during this free agency period. This is who they went ahead and signed. Alexander Madison's a great addition to the team, and that's a fantastic contract. $12 million over 4 years for an 82 overall running back. Looks like Mitchell Schwartz really wanted to go to Europe, so he's going to sign with Dublin. Jonah Williams is going to sign with the Raiders. CeeDee Lamb, this is his third team, but it looks like he's having a very interesting career. Hunter Renfrow signing with the Bengals. David Montgomery signing with the 49ers. Montez Sweat signing with the Dolphins. Auden Tate going back to Cincinnati, going back home, baby. N'Keal Harry looks like we lost him to the Bears, which is ironic because Anthony Miller's first team was the Bears. But this opens up a spot for Fleming, and hopefully that contributes to his growth. Max Crosby, which is also known as Mad Max from Hard Knocks this year, is going to the Browns. Justin Jefferson to the Jets. And Jimmy G is signing with the Minnesota Vikings. You guys could take a look at the rest of these because, I don't want to take up too much of your time doing all this. So now without further ado, let's go ahead and simulate the NFL draft. So at the end of the NFL draft, this is who we're bringing in. Looks like we're bringing in a cornerback, another wide receiver and wow, these overalls are absolutely disgusting. Another defensive tackle, and oh wow, these overalls are absolutely abysmal. I guess this was just a bad draft year. So at this point, Trevor Lawrence is starting to hit his prime, and this is the team that we have around him. Rob Gronkowski is literally on his final legs here. He has more or less the same type of offense that he had last year. He has a great O-line still. He has a great, reliable tight end who is obviously, regressing a little bit. And he has a decent wide receiver core. He still has Sony Michel and Alexander Madison up in there. And defensively, this is the part I feel like is screwing over Trevor the most. He still has Stephon Gilmore, and he has better safeties this year, and he still has J.C. Jackson. His pass rush is decent, and his linebackers have improved. So although we don't have Hightower anymore, I don't know if he left or if he retired, but I believe this could be the first year Trevor Lawrence finally makes it to the playoffs. So let's sim ahead and see. So at the end of this year, the Patriots had their worst year since we started the simulation, and Trevor Lawrence is doing his thing. He's 20th in the NFL in passing touchdowns, 30th in passer rating, and first in passing yardage, which is pretty interesting considering the fact that his completion percentage is 71%, but obviously these stats are going to be a little bit inflated. You see JT Daniels is absolutely crushing it for the Colts meanwhile. Deshaun Watson is still a beast. Jordan Love has finally started for the Green Bay Packers, and he's really coming into his own. And Baker Mayfield is, he's throwing a lot of interceptions, but he's throwing a lot of touchdowns as well. Mahomes is, I guess you could call this another down year for him. So the wild card went like this, and looks like Dallas is back in it again, man. And then the divisional went like this, and looks like Dallas lost again. I'm kind of rooting for Dallas in these simulations. We can't get some luck in real life, so I'm kind of rooting for them in these sims. And then in the Super Bowl, you have the Colts beating the New York Giants. So his fellow quarterback in his draft class was able to win a championship before he was able to win a championship. And for some reason or another, I can't find the quarterback of Indianapolis anywhere here. How they score their touchdowns? Like, what? How on Aaron? What's going on here? Marlon Mack, did they just run the entire game? Is that what happened? There's like nothing for Indianapolis. Nothing for them at all. Like, how did the Colts pass? Did the Colts not pass? Did the Colts not throw a single pass in this entire game? Like, yeah, they did. 381 passing yards. It doesn't really say where okay, I guess it's some sort of glitch or something, but O.J. Howard went off, Allen Robinson went off, T.Y. Hilton's still there, and he went off, and congratulations to J.T. Fields for winning a Super Bowl before Trevor Lawrence. Stephon Gilmore finally left us, Deion Jones signed with the Bears, Xavier Thomas with the Falcons, And JT Daniels left the Colts to sign with the Atlanta Falcons. Wow, after winning a Super Bowl. You can take a look at where the rest of these players go. If you really want to see a specific player, just pause it at your screen as we get there, because there's a lot of player movement and it's getting very tough to keep track of all of it. It also looks like Trevor Lawrence re-signed with the Patriots on a 7-year, $199 million deal, which makes a lot of sense for who he is. But hopefully he doesn't turn into the next coming of Carson Palmer. Hopefully he doesn't turn into another player where we're asking what if. So looking at the draft over here, it looks like the Patriots focused on the defensive side of the ball for the first 3 picks and finally drafted Gronk's replacement. Honestly, I feel like the drafts are going to start making marginal differences now that they're, Madden simulation drafts. So now that they're Madden auto-generated players, I think I'm just going to skip the draft altogether and not really show you guys that. So at this point, this is Trevor Lawrence's supporting cast. Looks like no more Rob Gronkowski. Looks like he's calling it a career. And at this point, I believe this is the time where I'm going to start simming year by year and just seeing if we make it to the playoffs. And if we don't, I'm probably not going to pay much attention to it. Typically, I would show you what's going on in all other aspects, but I really figured that if we're not making it to the playoffs, we should just keep these going as fast as we possibly can. So we're going to go ahead and simulate to the playoffs here. So at the end of the 2024 season, the New England Patriots finally make it to the playoffs and finally appear to be the dominant powerhouse that they were promised to be once they drafted Trevor Lawrence. I guess the success couldn't happen immediately, but Trevor absolutely went off this year. To be honest, he went off every single year, but now he's getting those comparisons to JT Daniels. I guess there's a little bit more of an edge to his game. Mitchell Trubisky's ascent is probably one of the most interesting storylines in this entire sim. Same with Baker Mayfield's, but hopefully we could finally get Trevor Lawrence a ring here. And yet again, Madden does something to completely ruin my concept. You see, I am not allowed to do play the moments unless if I choose to control the Patriots. I can't just do a CPU sim, so I'm going to try my best to capture the biggest moments by playing the full game. This is absolutely the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I don't understand why Madden will do this. I'm going to try to join the game and then try to have the CPU control it as soon as I join, and hopefully everything works out the way we want it to.